Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about HubSpot. If you're hustling in the trenches to build a business or bootstrapping one of your own, let's talk about an AI-powered tool that can lighten up your workload a bit. HubSpot's Campaign Assistant is a game changer for creating marketing campaigns at scale. It quickly turns your key selling points into a cohesive pitch, which helps you deliver knockout emails, ads, and landing pages in minutes. So let Campaign Assistant take care of the campaigns so you can get back to growing your business. Work smarter, not harder at HubSpot.com/campaign-assistant.
Howdy, folks. It is Tuesday, February 7th. I'm Jacob Cohen here with Rob Litterst, and you are listening to The Hustle Daily Show. Today, we're going to be diving into the next frontier of corporate warfare, as Rob put it. We're going to be discussing Google versus Microsoft, a tale as old as time, and their moves in AI. It's going to be a crazy week this week there. We had an announcement from Google yesterday. We've got a big event from Microsoft today. We've got an event on the same subject matter from Google tomorrow. So we're going to get into all that. But first, let's take a look at what else is going on in the world of business and tech today. Let's get crack-leg. All right, when I saw this, I said, dang flabbit. The story here is movie theater chain AMC plans to roll out airplane-like seating price tiers as part of a program called Sightline. Unlike planes, though, here, obviously, the middle seats will be the ones going up in price. And I thought this was interesting because on one end, I get it, probably will help their bottom line, makes movies more like other entertainment venues that, sell seats. But the funniest thing about this is the way they build it as some sort of innovative improvement for the consumer that lets them have more control over their movie-going experience. What do you think about this?
Right. It's definitely interesting. I see where they're coming from, where they're clearly, if you go to the movie theater, some seats that are more valuable than others, right? Like if you ever show up to a movie late and you end up in like the front row, you're like, oh, this sucks. And it almost makes you wish that you never bought tickets.
Yeah.
And to some extent, I think like staggering the prices of these tickets makes a lot of sense. The thing that's interesting is like, I feel like at every theater, you can't specify what seat you're buying in advance. So,
right. So I think they're rolling this out kind of incrementally,
right.
Only a few theaters to start.
That makes sense.
I think this is going to really annoy people in the short term, but it makes a lot of sense in the long term.
This is how you know a business is in trouble when they start relying on kind of pricing quirks like this to drive revenue.
Yeah. And they bill it as an amazing value.
Right. Yeah. Because that's all anybody wants is they want their booking experience to be more like Ticketmaster.
Exactly. Well, moving along, got a lot of tzatziki coming. Mediterranean restaurant chain Cava filed for an IPO. The company was founded in 2006. They opened their first fast casual location in 2011, really modeled after Chipotle. In 2018, they bought Zoe's Kitchen for $300 million and are converting all these Zoe's locations to new Cava restaurants. And the company was last valued, I think, in 2021 at $1.7 billion.
Wow. Listen, I love Mediterranean food and I love Chipotle. So if you're telling me that Cava is basically a combination of those two things, I am very into it.
Love it. Well, in other news, Getty Images filed a lawsuit in the U.S. accusing Stability AI of using 12 million copyrighted photos to train its open source AI art generator, Stable Diffusion. This follows a similar lawsuit in the UK. Also, some news from the cycling space. A small team at EV maker Rivian is reportedly working on an electric bike. The company also has e-bike patents and trademarks. And speaking of bikes, a Japanese manufacturer of $555,000 flying motorbikes, which went public via SPAC merger this past week, originally valued at $600 million, saw its stock drop 59% on its first trading day yesterday. How about that?
I can't think of anything scarier than a flying motorbike other than paying over $500,000 for it.
That's funny. That's good. Moving along, though. ShiftMed, a Virginia-based workforce marketplace for nurses and aides, secured $200 million in funding. The company says 350,000 people use its app, and revenue grew 8 times in the last 2 years. Also, Pinterest shares took a dip after the company reported sales growth of 4% year over year in the fourth quarter. 4% year-over-year growth in monthly active users to 450 million, and projected low single digits growth this quarter as well. Finally, the infinite AI-generated animated Seinfeld spoof called Nothing Forever. Yes, that is a thing that exists. It's 24/7, 365, infinitely generating AI-generated Seinfeld spoof. Was banned on Twitch for 2 weeks after the AI model it was using struggled to moderate content and made some poor remarks.
Eternal Seinfeld sounds pretty awesome. So if they clean that up, I think they could probably find a market there.
Yes, I agree. I'd be interested in tuning in every so often.
All right, JC. So moving along, two of tech's absolute behemoths, Google and Microsoft, are making some big moves that seem to suggest that AI is really kind of the next battleground for corporate warfare. And you alluded to it earlier.
Yep.
Google announced its ChatGPT competitor Bard. Google CEO Sundar Pichai said the product will be tested with a limited group for now, with a wider rollout in the next few weeks.
That's pretty fast.
It seems like Bard is going to be somewhat similar to ChatGPT. People are saying that it should offer more accurate information on current events, which I think some people have been saying is kind of one of the biggest drawbacks of ChatGPT. But other than that, we don't really know too much about it. From what I've read, it seems like some people are reading into this that Google just feels like it's kind of a code red right now, and they need to put something out there. They need to say something to make it clear that they're not just going to roll over here. Second, you mentioned Microsoft announced a surprise event yesterday scheduled for this morning where there's speculation that they're going to announce a new version of Bing that's integrated with ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, for the last few months, it's all been Microsoft and AI.
Right.
And what's happening with Google. The end is nigh for Google. And Google, they've now hit the gas on this. And it seems like they almost knew Microsoft had this event coming today. And they wanted to drop this announcement before Microsoft was able to announce basically the exact same thing.
Right.
In tech, being the first to market with things like this can really make a big difference. If Bing, which is not nearly as popular as Google, were to be the first to do this, that could actually be a big difference in terms of what happens down the road for these search engines. But if Google were to drop this feature first, then it would probably really cement its place at the top of the search engine leaderboard for many years to come.
OpenAI just kind of unveiled ChatGPT to the general public and let them play around with it. And it's continuously getting better because all these people are using it. All these people are freaking out about it and getting really excited about it. Meanwhile, Google has been working on this Bard project forever. And I mean, from what internal people have said, it might even be ahead of ChatGPT in a bunch of ways. You know, ChatGPT and AI chatbot in general can kind of destroy Google's search and advertising business. So there's also that kind of existential question there.
Right.
But it does seem to be this kind of battle of progress versus perfection with these two companies.
Google is really on the line when it comes to product releases like this, whereas for ChatGPT, OpenAI, it's really more of a startup. They can make mistakes and not really be dinged for it. But if Google, let's say, has a widely released chatbot that is biased in some way, that's a big problem. It could set them back in many ways.
Google and Microsoft have been beefing for a long time. They've been battling on a lot of different products. So we've already talked about Bing versus Google, right? Classic search engine battle. And then you have Microsoft Office versus Google Workspace. And then you have cloud storage. You have Microsoft Azure versus Google Cloud. I think Microsoft is ahead there as far as market share goes. But more importantly, you have this kind of like cool factor, right? Like Google kind of has the cool factor with search and their workspace suite. And I think this whole AI thing is a chance for Microsoft to get it back. And I think that's why they're pushing into it so hard. It's going to make them like the more relevant and the kind of cooler choice, the cooler alternative. Like, look at everything they've done in the last week. They extended their partnership with OpenAI in a $10 billion deal, making them the exclusive cloud partner for OpenAI, which that is going to be a lucrative deal for Microsoft. We've already talked about this integration with ChatGPT and Bing. I think a screenshot dropped last week showing what that looks like. That's why everybody's so excited for this event today. And then you also have Microsoft launching a version of Teams that has ChatGPT and announcing that they're going to do the same with Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook. Like they are going all in on OpenAI and ChatGPT. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun week. There's going to be some fun, cool announcements and some real innovation that we haven't necessarily seen so much of. Like Google has looked the same, more or less, for the last, 15 years. And this might be one of the bigger changes you see.
Stay tuned, everybody. This one's to be continued. There will be a lot more coming on this, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And bada bing, bada boom. That's going to do it for us today, folks. Thanks for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, you can go sign up at thehustle.co/email. Hope you have a terrific Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, if you listen to the Hustle Daily Show on Google Podcasts, we want to let you know that the option will no longer be available pretty soon. Google is sunsetting its podcast app sometime in early 2024 in favor of YouTube Music, and we want to give you a heads up before it's too late, since that time's almost here. The Hustle Daily Show is available everywhere and anywhere that you listen to podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're using YouTube Music, we are there as well. If you're an Android fan, there are plenty of apps like Overcast, Pocket Casts, Player FM, and more. So just search for us wherever you decide to listen to your favorite podcasts.